Welcome to this conspiracy theory show. I'm Emily.
And I'm Dervla.
And today we'll be discussing the 9/11. Today we're here with Sarah, Niamh, Sean and Emma.
Before we begin, I'll give a brief background on the event. On September 11th, 2001, a series of airline hijackings and suicide attacks committed by 19 militants associated with Islamic extremist group Al-Qaeda against targets in the United States. This is the deadliest attack on American soil in US history. Almost 3,000 were killed, which triggered major US initiatives to combat terrorism and defined the presidency of George W. Bush.
The main question we'll be asking today is, was it an inside job and did the government orchestrate this attack? Sean, what's your opinion on this?
I don't know if it was an inside job because there's a lot of facts saying that it wasn't, but at the same time there's a lot of facts saying that it was. And I don't know, to be honest.
One reason people say it could be an inside job is that the government could have done it because it was a reason to instigate war with Iraq. Another reason is that the lease owner of the towers, Larry Silverstein, he took out a terrorism insurance a couple of weeks before the actual attack and collected double the amount as 2 buildings were attacked. Coincidentally, Larry did not attend work that day.
I don't know if that was a regular thing that people were taking terrorism insurance out at the time. Why wouldn't he just take out normal insurance? Did he expect that to happen?
A terrorism attack, yeah, exactly. That's what a lot of people thought about that. Niamh, what do you think?
I think it is quite odd that he took out specific terrorism insurance. You know, usually people just take out damage insurance or maybe natural disaster insurance, and it was quite only a couple of weeks before the actual attack that he took it out, so it's quite coincidental.
Even the demolition of the building, people think it was the 2 and 2 didn't go together. When the planes hit, some news showed it going behind the building when it went in front of the building. Do you have any thoughts on that, Sean?
Well, I think the planes flying was a bit weird because, as Dervla said, some of the planes and the wings didn't line up with the actual videos, and the news shows the videos weren't at the same time as the actual incident. And also, I don't know.
Yeah. On this day, 4 planes got hijacked. 2 of them hit the towers and 1 hit the Pentagon, which was a headquarter building for the US Department of Defense, and another crashed into a field. Niamh, do you want to have anything to say?
Yeah, so the 4th plane was called Flight 93, and due to the bravery of the passengers on board, they fought against the hijackers, and the plane, which was actually bound for the White House, ended up crashing into a field in Pennsylvania.
And also on that flight, all the passengers died, even though they attacked the hijackers and made them crash into a field. And because this wasn't this plane headed towards the White House, but because the passengers were so brave, they got it to crash into a field.
Obviously, the most important thing on the plane that everyone wanted to retrieve was the black boxes. Only 3 of the 4 were retrieved, and only one we were able to hear what was on it, and that wasn't released to the public. It was only released to the families who had victims in the attack, and only in 2002 were they able to hear it. Skeptics believe the tapes were not disclosed in order to support a secret scheme. What do you have to say on this, Emma?
I feel like if it was given to families, there's so many family friends that somehow would have got a leak. Like, how many people would have been on that flight for that to be leaked? So I feel like somehow we would have gotten it. So I don't know, I think that's a bit sketchy if you're asking me, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we would have heard some news. There must have been something on those tapes that would have given us information if it actually was instigated by Al-Qaeda or if it was done by the government.
Exactly, and it would have been leaked so easily as well.
Mm-hmm.
After the attack, airplane safety became completely different. The security was much tighter. TSA was introduced, bulletproof and locked cockpit doors, random checks, CCTV was everywhere, and pilots could carry firearms now. And more air marshals were introduced, because before 9/11 happened, you could get your security in 2 minutes, and now it's completely different. It could take up to half an hour.
Even longer.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you have to be in the airport 2 hours before your flight.
So we've spoken about the reasons for why the government could have instigated the attack, but no one really spoke about why everyone thought Bin Laden and Al Qaeda instigated the attack. At first they said that Bin Laden refused, saying that he had nothing to do with it, and then shortly after he said, "Oh yes, I was part of that," and that was a bit strange because he denied it at first, and the only reason that people believe that he had something to do with it was his stake in the stock market, as well as because the former president had personal business ventures into the Middle East, which was odd. Why would the president be going there for his personal business and nothing to do with the government into the Middle East? Do you have any thoughts on that, Sean?
I think it's kind of weird that the president would have been going to the Middle East for business, even though he was the president, and they were at war with most of the Middle East at the time. That's pretty much all I have to say.
What I find hard to believe is, like, why, if this was a government job, there would have been so many variables to organise it, and why would they need to kill 3,000 people just for oil? Like, I feel like, and make that such a big deal, and just for a war, like, it's a lot to do just for one thing.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the president at the time, Bush, he said that he saw the plane hit the towers, but when he got told the towers were being attacked, he was in a classroom reading to children, so that it just doesn't add up how he could have watched
about it.
Yeah, there's no point, like, why would he lie about that? And he also used conspiracy sometimes when he talked about it, which also didn't make sense because they were so certain that it was a terrorist attack.
Yeah, even that day, the amount of people that were said to have almost gone on this plane or that would have been there, because like Mark Wahlberg, he's a famous celebrity now, and he was almost going to go on this plane, and the creator of Family Guy too, and it's just a coincidence almost that these people didn't go on the plane, and that even that day 4,000 Jewish employees didn't attend work that day with no reason. They just said, "Oh, I was homesick." And it was strange they thought that the Jews had something to do with this attack, and it was strange that they all instigated that as Bin Laden's fault.
Yeah, exactly. And another theory some people have is that some shows predicted 9/11 before it happened, but I personally do not think that this is a correct theory, because shows like create
Yeah, what Emily's talking about is, like, on The Simpsons, there's like this magazine that Bart has, and it has €9 on. This is New York magazine, has €9 just smack bang in the middle, and then left, I think it's right to the side, there's just two buildings. I don't really think, like, there's two buildings, but it's just an outline. It's black. It's kind of like something you would have drawn when you were in, like, primary school, if you were told to draw the outline of buildings. You know what I mean? And I just don't think that that's a really good.
Yeah, even the way they said that the war was to start war with Iran, it could have started another World War III. That was in the talks, and that this was an issue around the world. It didn't just involve Iran, Iraq, and America. This was something that everyone knew. Everyone knew the day that they found out that the towers were struck, and that everyone was like on edge, wondering if their town was next, if everyone was going to be attacking each other, and it was almost just a waiting game at the time.
Emily, what do you have to say on that?
I think it's very interesting, but obviously Al Qaeda did have reasons, and they did claim it in the end, and I think people forget about that. They did actually claim that they did do it themselves, and why would they lie? There's no reason for them to lie and say that they attack the towers if they didn't. And they did, America were helping Israel at the time, and they obviously were at war with Israel, so they did have reasons to do it.
Okay, I think that's it for today. Thank you for listening to the Conspiracy Theories show with myself, Dervla.
And Emily.
Thank you to our guests, Sarah, Neve, Sean and Emma. I hope you'll be listening to us soon.